So Kristi Noem is threatening to have ICE agents all over the Super Bowl, stopping people, checking immigration status. That sounds like racial profiling, right? Because how else would an ICE agent determine who to stop at a football game? Stop the blonde family from Wisconsin, or are you going to stop the brown skin family speaking Spanish? We all know what's going to happen. And the Supreme Court has said this is totally legal. So let me show you how this played out in courts. Check out this news coverage.
Supreme Court, in an unsigned order, ruled federal agents can consider how someone looks and where they work when targeting them for detention and deportation.
So here's what happened. Arizona passed a law that basically told police if you have a reasonable suspicion that someone's in the country illegally, you can stop them and check. The Supreme Court in Arizona versus United States said parts of that are fine. They gave law enforcement the green light to stop people based on reasonable suspicion about immigration status. And what does a reasonable suspicion look like in practice? Speaking Spanish, having brown skin, having an accent, looking foreigner to the officer. Literally, that's what's written, and that's it. The court carved out exceptions for immigration enforcement that basically legalize racial profiling. They said, yeah, normally the Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches, but when it comes to immigration, officers can use different standards. Just throw the Constitution out. This isn't me being hyperbolic. This is actual Supreme Court precedent now. And we've seen what that looks like. Let me show you some examples. Watch these cases.
An NSU political scientist says the Fourth Amendment is on the line.
What this decision shows is that the rights, constitutional rights of Americans and citizens within the country are continually to be rolled back.
American citizens detained, elderly people assaulted, families separated, all because an ICE agents decided they looked illegal. And the courts have said, yeah, that's fine. That's within their authority. So when Kristi Noem threatens to have ICE at the Super Bowl, she's not making an empty threat. She has the legal authority approved by the Supreme Court to racially profile every Latino person trying to watch a football game. Think about that. You're an American citizen, born here, raised here, never lived anywhere else. You buy a $10,000 Super Bowl ticket. You show up with the family, or just by yourself. It doesn't matter, $10,000. And an ICE agent stops you because you're speaking Spanish with your kids, or your wife, your friends, demands to see your papers, detains you during tailgating to verify your citizenship. I hope they do this, guys. It's going to look so freaking ugly. And let's say they miss kickoff, they miss the first quarter, maybe they miss the whole game, and that's legal because the Supreme Court said so. This is what systemic racism looks like when it's been codified into law. It's not just individual bad actors. It's the entire legal framework saying, yeah, you can treat people differently based on how they look. The Constitution is supposed to protect everyone equally, but the Supreme Court has said, well, not when it comes to immigration enforcement, then they can profile people there. And here's the thing that makes it even more disgusting. They're going to demonstrate this at the Super Bowl, the most watched event in America, broadcast over 180 countries, probably the whole world. The whole world watches this game, and they're going to watch American federal agents profiling people at a football game. So this is the America we live in now, where the Supreme Court has approved racial profiling, where the Department of Homeland Security can threaten immigration raids at sporting events, where being brown and speaking Spanish makes you suspicious. This isn't some dystopian future. This is right now, and they're not even hiding it anymore. Kristi Noem went on a podcast and announced she's going to racially profile people at the Super Bowl because she knows the Supreme Court will back her up. Subscribe if you think this is insane, because the woman making these threats has a history of spectacularly bad judgment. Just ask her dog Cricket.